Hello, David Zritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. Not too long ago, you may have noticed that several people went to London mid-October to celebrate James Bond, all with the whole idea to culminate into the Cue the Music concert spectacular. And it was spectacular. And this video is to really talk about my time at the Cue the Music concert spectacular, more specifically, some behind the scenes moments that you may not have seen where you were sitting, if you did attend, with the Moneypennys, the Three Moneypennys. And I thought I would do more than that. I would break down and do an entire London recap because so much went on. This weekend, certainly for the last 3 or 4 years, has turned into a little bit of a James Bond convention. I mean, left to our own devices without Amazon or Eon, fans have come together from all around the world to put together many different events, social moments, extravaganzas, experiences that would be used to get together, to celebrate, to come from far and wide, and to just connect. And we know how important that is for all of us to connect together. It's more than just a social moment. It's being with your tribe. It's speaking the same language to each other. It's lifting your spirits in a time where we're bereft. There's a gaping maw, a disconnect, if you will, to new James Bond material. So we're creating our own, and some of it is absolutely fantastic. You know I have a lot of passion behind it, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about recounting. It's about looking back in the short form of history, and we have to start with Friday, because many people came in early. They don't come in Sunday to celebrate the concert. They come in Friday like I did. And when I came in on Friday, one of the things I have to do in London is I have to take advantage of the fact that I'm in London. And despite what the Daily Mail and the BBC thinks, I don't live in London. I live in Pennsylvania. I live in the USA. So I came to London, and the first thing I did coming off the plane, did an overnight, slept a little bit, not much, is I landed at 5:20 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. Did I sleep? Did I shower? Bah! Fah! Plenty of time to sleep when you're dead. No, I just hit the ground running, and I had not one but 2 meetings that I had to go to. Bond, sort of business meetings. So I had to be fresh and awake, and my adrenaline was going, so I wasn't, as the British say, shattered yet. I wasn't shattered. I was just hitting the ground running. After that, Joe Darlington and I had a series of brand events. And these events ranged from anywhere from makeovers with some of the brands that I had to do, walking and visiting some of the brands. Some of the brands wanted to talk to me about 2026 and give me a sneak preview. Some of the brands wanted to gift me some items to review during my trip. And so I went all over London with the things that I love to do, which is to connect with the Bond brands. And in fact, you know what? Let me show you a little bit of a video of my expedition in engaging with the Bond brands. London, it's not just the heartbeat of the UK, it's the heartbeat of James Bond. One of the things I love to do when I come to London is to walk around the Bond brands, experience what's new, and immerse myself in the world of 007, one brand at a time. love the way that they display all of these, whether it's Bond or Stanley Tucci or other fashion style magnets. Just beautifully done, spaced well. Colors all laid out conveniently next to the dressing room, which I'll be jumping into very soon. Lovely, simple styles. Okay, I am an absolute sucker for a shawl collared sweater. This is a bit chunky, but I wanted chunky. It's getting colder. It's actually in the 50s here in London, but when I go back, it's going to be in the 50s and 40s in Pennsylvania. I like this because it's pretty isolated. It's not a button-down cardigan. It's not too fussy. It's simple. The color is truffle, which is simple. It's almost like a fawn color, but it's marled with different whites. And you can see that it's relatively slim. This is a size small, fits me like a charm. And even look at the arms. The arms are like perfect in what they're doing here. Yeah, this one's gonna see some action in London, but I've got something from the Stanley Tucci line to try on, which I've been looking forward to do for about 2 weeks now. Ah, perfect. Now we've got it. So size small. This is a Stanley Tucci. It's a mix. It's a mix of cashmere and silk, so it's incredibly soft. Love the navy blue. Love the fact that when I say this is slim, it's not skinny. It's not overly fitted. And you would think a size small would be absolutely impacted on me, but it's not. Stanley Tucci did an amazing job helping to curate these different parts and pieces. And I wanted something very simple. You don't get more simple than a long sleeve polo from N Peel. Yeah, this Stanley Tucci, this is going home with me. Okay, well, that was very successful. Look at the wrapping on this. I love the orange, the blue. It connects back to the fashion, the style, but the fact that Stanley Tucci is a very traditional, styled, not fashion, style that's going to last, and the colors denote it. I got my bag. There's more places to head off to. Let's go. I need to see a man about a hat. that was just some of the highlights. So it just gives you an idea. It could be a lot of fun. I mean, there were other brand moments. Met up with Dan Zell for the first time. Dan Zell is the CEO of London Stock Exchange, and he gave me these amazing Thunderball socks, which I haven't even cracked open and worn yet this weekend. It's cold. These will be worn. Really cool, obviously, celebration of Thunderball in the anniversary. When I stopped by Globetrotter, they gave me a whole bunch of things to put on my luggage. I haven't even opened them yet. I am going on another trip very, very soon. So I haven't, you know what? I'll open them in front of you. I have not opened them. I don't even know what these are. Ah! Luggage tag. Oh, and this was my favorite one. Look at this. This is, again, all to celebrate, as you saw, their Thunderball. And I'm so glad Globetrotter and just only a few other people celebrated Thunderball in the 60th anniversary. That's amazing looking. Hold on, there's another box. You didn't know this was going to be an unboxing. This video has everything. Do not go away. This has storytelling and destruction and all this other stuff. Oh my gosh, amazing. So this, all right, you know what they did? They wound up giving me a few of these. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a contest where one of you can get a Globetrotter luggage tag. Yeah, why would I keep all of these? I mean, do I have enough luggage for these? Yeah. But I'm going to have one of you, look at how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have one of you win one of these Thunderball. We'll do a contest in a week or so, maybe close to the holidays. How much fun would that be? So we're going to do that. When I was at Oliver Brown, they gave me this gin, which I will be drinking. I haven't even, look at this. I haven't even popped it open, and it's beautiful gin. This is exclusively crafted by William Lowe, MW, and this is very cool. I got to try this. I've heard they offered me a drink right then and there, but when I visited them, it was like 9:30 in the morning. It was a little too early, even for me. I'm just saying. I had wonderful, wonderful pieces like from Lock & Co. Lock & Co. knew I was going to be traveling through Portugal and different parts of London, so they gifted me the hat. Now, this is a very familiar looking hat done differently. This is, of course, the white version of the black hat that you see in Goldfinger. It's even got the 007. Where is it? There it is. The 007 moniker in there. I wound up wearing this hat all through Portugal. There's a ton of pictures up on Instagram. You saw some of the highlights. They're everywhere. That hat is going to be my go-to when I go to like GoldenEye and things. So comfortable, so lightweight, and rather fetching, if I do say so myself. This are Stanley Tucci stickers, and you're like, what are you talking about? Well, as you saw when I stopped by NPL, I did a lot of Stanley Tucci exploration. What I loved about this is that I told you I was going to go home with it. This is that blue polo you saw, which I'm going to be wearing tonight. Tonight, I'm wearing this blue polo. But what I loved about the Stanley Tucci collection is Stanley Tucci represents food, libation, travel, exploration. I don't know what other character in the world represents that as well. James Bond and David Zaritsky from the Bond Experience. So I love this. And you saw that shawl. It's getting cold. I'm not, because I got the NPO shawl. I'll be wearing that to New York City to meet with them very soon. Here's that Sunspell. I told you, that beautiful colored Riviera polo, and this ultra soft rugby, long sleeve. Again, these are all things I can wear now while it's cold. But you know something? My Sophie's Choice, my thing that I think you're going to see me in the most, like if you meet up with me in November for an event or December, you're probably going to see me in this, it's called Iris, but it's in a dark midnight blue, merino wool Harrington jacket. This thing I wore everywhere in London, staved off the cold, and I've worn it a few times here, and I'll be wearing it more. So absolutely amazing. And from a gifting standpoint, it will continue, but not from a brand standpoint. There was a lot of brand moments and things, but all right. So that first day was over. Obviously, I had the different brands. We had the big GoldenEye launch, as you saw, and you may have seen. I've got a video out about the GoldenEye suit, homage suit, that for the 30th anniversary, Tim Everest and I came together, and that was many, many months in the making, almost actually a year in the making, but many, many months to discuss it and come to the right terms. And now I've got arguably one of my favorite suits that I can wear all the time, and an homage to Brosnan. It's not always like just it's not all about Daniel Craig or Sean Connery with the suit world, which is amazing. That was a magical evening with dinner that followed. It was perfect. And I was surrounded by my friends. It was an invitation only because we were swamped anyway. We started off saying, oh, we should have about 30 people. Then it went to 60. And then it went to 80. And don't ask how many people showed up and were on the sidewalk, because it was a lot, which may sound very familiar because as we move into the recap, I also blissfully had a good portion of Saturday just to relax. Now, I did on Saturday morning meet up with AJ Chowdhury and Matthew Field, and we had a great discussion about their new book. But I'm not going to talk about it too much here. Maybe I'll show a nice little picture of the book. Darker Than the Sun, we had a great video, and the video will be coming out on my channel very shortly, just in time for the holidays. And the book looks amazing. And of course, the three of us had just a very comfortable conversation. These are friends. These are guys that I've known for years, and I could just sit back, relax, kick up like I'm doing now. I'm falling, and just have a chat. And that's exactly what we did. And I think you're going to really love the video conversation. But then I had this wonderful moment, shockingly, in a crazy Bond weekend with my family, because Danielle, my wife, came, and Ellis, my son, came to watch all the frivolity and get involved. And they were troopers. Could they keep up with me? I don't know who can keep up with me, because I've got, I'm more machine than man, twisted and evil. I'm cybornetic. I'm not editing that. But the reality is that Saturday night was something pretty special. It was a Gatherall. It was a London Gatherall. You know I love my Gatheralls. I'm very passionate about that. It's my brand, but it's become owned by everyone. I mean, that's the way I think about it. And it was wonderful because it's a great social moment. Hello, David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back to London. Tonight, we have Gatherall in London at the Morpeth Arms. We're going to be seeing a lot of friends. We're going to be doing some incredible things like, the book launch of Being James Bond Volume 2, and of course a 30th anniversary celebration of On the Tracks of 007 with Martijn Molden. We're doing it all in front of the Mi6 building. I think it's pretty appropriate. What's not appropriate is I'm not at my own event. I better get inside. Now, this is storytelling, so it's not going to end with, it was a great social moment. Let's go on to Sunday. No. When I was talking to the Morpeth Arms, where we held Gatherall that Saturday, it was happily offered, if you will, suggested to me by Phil Duerth, the president of the 007GB. They were using that as a landing spot for their walk, which was great. It was for UNICEF. And then we were going to grab the baton and take over for Gatherall at the Morpeth Arms. Now, when I spoke to the managing director over there, they said we could accommodate 70 people. And I said, we're going to be more. We're going to be like 120. And they said, something, we can do that. We're just going to hire some more people, some staff to take care of this. So they were expecting about 120 to 125. You know how many people showed up to Gatherall in London at the Morpeth Arms? Over 350. I know. As we were rolling through and starting off the whole evening with this, which was the launching of Joe Darlington's Being James Bond Volume 2, which was very successful launch, by the way. He brought 50 books, and he was scratching his head the whole time because he was staying at my hotel, so we had loads of time to talk. And Joe was like, I don't know, maybe I should have brought 20. Maybe I think 40 is too much. At 50, I'm going to be taking home books in my luggage. If he had 200 of these to sell at Gatherall, 200 would have sold. 200 people wanted this book out of the 350 at least. Joe Darlington, what are we doing here tonight?
We are trying to sell some books. Launching Being James Bond Volume 2.
Volume 2 in the heart of London. Wait a minute, overlooking the Mi6 building. And we have a guest star tonight. It is the mouse from Spectre. Just don't know where he is. We'll find him soon. He'll be back.
My resignation with immediate effect. Sincerely, James Bond. James Bond closed the silver laptop and moved it out of the sun before returning his gaze to Vesper. The two had sailed the Adriatic, approximately 250 nautical miles.
And so people spilled over downstairs and around and on the sidewalk. And it was a beautiful, amazing location. I really enjoyed it. I was able to give out a whole plethora of the James Pond rubber duckies. They're not rubber, they're hard resin, shipped from Asia. And I had 150. I've given out 100 that evening. So if you got one of these, they're pretty rare. One of the best moments the whole evening, Julian Digby. And if you don't know Julian, he is a card. He's a character and we all love him. Julian's a great guy. Very nice guy. Heart and soul of the Bond community. So he goes, do you have a trade for one of your ducks? I didn't know where he was going. I'm like, I'll just give you one of the ducks. And then he goes, because I have one for you. And Julian Digby gave me a Spectre duck, Mexico City duck. How kind was that? Very cool. And not to be outdone, I received also that evening a beautiful Cuban cigar from the mayor of Miami, James Torres, who's the mayor of Miami, who came to Gatherall, and he came to the concert with his beautiful girlfriend, fiance, betrothed. You take your pick. We just call her the queen. But the mayor of Miami gave this out to me. So everybody was in good company at Gatherall that night. Everybody had a great time. Were we overstuffed? Yes. But let me explain what happened. And I don't know if this story even got out. I've had this at the Hippodrome every year. And what's great about the Hippodrome is the Hippodrome doesn't charge me rental because we blow out their alcohol budget because we're a bunch of Bond guys and we like to drink and we like to celebrate. So we were in the Lola room, which was being renovated, but guess what? It wasn't renovated in time for our shindig. And so within, no kidding, 3 days, we had to come up with a new venue, and that's how we got the Morpeth Arms. We did not want to be shrinky-dinked into a small area. We didn't mean to do that, but there we were. And, we still celebrated. Everybody got together. We were looking at each other's fashions. We were recording each other, taking pictures. We were doing wrist rolls. And yes, I'm wearing the GoldenEye one to celebrate GoldenEye still. It's the Tomorrow Never Dies / GoldenEye Brosnan watch. Everybody showed off their watches, their clothing. It was an amazing middle ground start to the whole weekend. And then everybody started to, around midnight, go off into the corners and get some sleep. And I also did that as well. Danielle and I, by the way, Danielle stayed for the whole Gatherall. Historic. And it was great. I mean, there were moments at Gatherall. We did the celebration of the 30th anniversary of On the Tracks of 007. Martijn Mulder announced a new app that you can do some amazing things with this app where you can take pictures of where you are and it matches exactly to the location shot in the film like the experts do. But it can also plot out where you are. It makes people like me experts. And believe me, that's not any small feat. And Martijn has done this with this app. So that was a big part of the celebration. But people had moved outside and celebrated. Danielle was there for the whole thing, which was amazing. And people really just, as I've always said with Gatherall, the secret ingredient, the secret sauce is the people. Like I could put whatever circus act together. I mean, this year I had being James Bond, I had the On the Tracks of 007 moments. At some of the Gatheralls in my neck of the woods, we have events, we have panels, we have visitors, we have, Rachel Grant, Bond girl extraordinaire sometimes. At the end of the day, people just want to get together. People just want to socialize. They just want to connect. They just want to, I keep using this term tribe, but they just want to be with their own tribe. They want that amazing surround sound of positivity that can only happen when Bond fans get together. The best people in the world, I maintain that. The most positive, energetic, forward motion, not mean people, and accepting people. And that's what Gatherall is about. I met so many people that night that came to me and said, I've never been to one of these. I lived down the street. I mustered enough confidence and bravado and courage to come, but I didn't know if anybody was going to talk to me. And then, whoa, what happens? Well, everybody starts talking to them. And now they want to go on other events or they meet other people in their neighborhood. Gatheralls are wonderful. This is why I have so much passion for them. But it wasn't the main enchilada, was it? And I'm pretty sure, based on the thumbnail that I created, that you came to hear about my time with the Moneypennys. But I wanted to give you the whole London recap, so you could have forwarded. Now you tell me I could have forwarded David. Well, so what happened with the Moneypennys? First of all, woke up that morning, and I make sure not to do too much in the morning because there's rehearsals. I have to get to the theater early. I have to walk the stage. I have to understand where I'm going to be stepping. Usually there's sound checks. And yes, I have to go to my dressing room and have my Lady Gaga-like costume changes. And by the way, let's take a look at, you won't believe my dressing room this year. Warren outdid himself. Let's check this out. Well, this must be the place. James Bond Concert Spectacular, the Three Moneypennys, hosted by some guy. Here we go. Okay, time to get to work. This must be my dressing room. Mind the stairs, mind the gap. All right, what do we have? Oh, very nice, safe. Brought in my stuff already. So we've got a changing area. Lights. There are my Lady Gaga many changes of costumes. I'm feeling a bit rancid in between sets. Could take a shower. And then over here, I've got my own sitting area. Very nice. This is where maybe Danielle and Ellis, oh, what am I saying? They're going to be out listening to the great music. They're not going to want to hang with me. All right. Well, folks, I got to start rehearsing. I'll see you at the concert. I mean, yeah, a guy could get spoiled with a dressing room like that. And it was great because I was able to invite Danielle and Ellis back there at intermissions and just hang with them or grab some water or, yes, use the bathroom, that little detail. But the best thing about that dressing room was not the pomp and circumstance around it. It was the fact that it was my study hall. And one thing you should understand about every year that I've done this with Warren and Cue the Music is, Warren, I'm the compere. I'll translate that for the rest of the world that doesn't speak British. I'm the host, but he gives me the playlist usually a month, maybe 2 months before the concert. You know, here's the playlist, David. And then about a month before, he gives me my breakpoints, where I'm going to come in and introduce the songs. Because my goal, but my job, my actual job is to not only entertain the audience or warm up the audience. It's really two other things too. It's to help tell the story of the songs before they're released, and then help tell the story of the significance of why they're there or why they're important. And therefore, that dovetails into my second job, which is the one I take the most serious. You could tell I'm taking it seriously because I'm moving closer to the camera. It is to represent the Bond fan. And this is why Warren doesn't go out and hire a host for the day that, you know, hosts pharmaceutical conventions and Coca-Cola retail stuff the rest of the year. He gets a Bond fan, which is me. Because my job is to be you. My job is to be you. So it's to really talk about the songs, talk about the moments, and talk about the experiences from the James Bond fan point of view. Not trying to be this professional and something like that. It's just to take my fandom, take my ability to host, and push those forward, and to help Sherpa the moments, as I like to put, throughout the evening. And that's the job. That is the job. But I have to study this. He doesn't give me notes. He doesn't know what I'm going to say. And I don't know if many people know this. Warren has no idea what I'm going to say about the songs, Even when I tread out onto the stage in front of thousands of people in the West End with the Moneypennies, he doesn't know what questions I'm going to ask. He never knows. And it's the part of the trust. It's part of the relationship that I have with Warren where he lets pros be pros. He lets professionals be the professionals that they are. And he knows that I'm going to do a good job and not embarrass him. He knows that the impetus, the stress that I put on myself is more stress and more pressure than I would ever receive from him. So he lets me just go. And it lets my creativity blossom. And therefore, even with the Moneypennies, I was able to really think about, how do I want to connect with them? You know, from the very beginning relationship and questions, how do I want my relationship to be? And therefore, how will that be amplified to the audience? And it paid off in spades. The first portion, if you will, was the pre-show. And the pre-show was great. About 350 to 400 people attended. Everybody was dressed to the nines. I decided that I would start off the day in a Tom Ford production-made tuxedo. And it's the one from Skyfall. You've seen me in it a million times, but I thought, in respect, as a doff to the hat, if you will, for Naomi Harris, I would do my Skyfall bit and do the Skyfall tuxedo. Plus, it's so comfortable. And I knew I was spending hours in that because it wasn't going to just be the pre-show costume that I was wearing. And it's not a costume, David. Tuxedos aren't costumes. Dinner jackets aren't costumes. They're Bond's armor. You said it out loud in front of thousands of people. Keep doing it. This was a representation of Bond's outfit, but I would be in the pre-show and even the first half of the concert. So I wanted to be very comfortable and wear something I was very confident in. That's a big deal. You have to wear something that you're not constantly adjusting yourself or thinking about it or just, and the Tom Ford tuxedo, that Skyfall midnight blue, mwah, chef kiss. Oh, Crockett and Jones. I wore, this watch. I just felt very good about myself. And that helps to create the confidence because as I entered the pre-show, 400 people, you're taking pictures, you're saying hello. I have to be, no one's bequeathed me, I promise you, no one's bequeathed me an ambassador. No one's bequeathed me of this and that. But at the Cue the Music events, one of the things I take very seriously for Warren and for everybody, but mostly for your enjoyment, is to really be a host, to greet people, to make sure people are having a good time, that they're happy, that if they want a picture, you take a picture. If they want to tell you a story about, something with my channel or something with Cue the Music, you listen to that story. Not because you have to, but because that is my enjoyment. Like some people, it was a couple hours later, some people were like, wow, how do you, doesn't it exhaust you to speak to that many people so quickly and this and that? And I said, no, this is the least I can do. This is the least I can do if it makes somebody happy or creates an enjoyment. But I get happy too. I love hearing these people's stories. If I could just sit down and listen to people's journey and stories with James Bond, that's all I would do. Retirement, already thought. So pre-show was like that until we had to line up to get our pictures taken with the Three Moneypennys. And the Three Moneypennys are Caroline Bliss, who, of course, is Timothy Dalton's Moneypenny. Two movies. We've got, of course, Samantha Bond, who corrected me and said, please call me Sam. So Sam Bond, who was obviously Brosnan's. And then we've got Naomi Harris, who was Daniel Craig's Moneypenny. And, as I said so many times during the concert, our current reigning Moneypenny. She hasn't been replaced, so she's still Moneypenny, which I reminded her and everybody else. But we're lining up for these pictures. I was first in line because I had to get my picture done. And right behind me were my son and wife to get their picture done. I had to get my picture done and I had to bye, and then race up to the stage and study my interview questions. So all of a sudden, they come over and they go, they're here. Okay, so they come over and they're being walked. And by the way, they have bodyguards. because they have to. These are all, celebrities in their own right. They're well known, but also they're surrounded by 400 Bond fans. And now we're nice people, but I mean, we're going gaga because these are people just like they've walked out of the film, they've walked out of the screen, and they're in our playground now. So of course we're going to react accordingly, but we got to be polite. And Bond people are the politest people, and they were. So paparazzi, boom, boom, cameras going off, the Three Moneypennys. They get next to me, I introduce myself. So what did I say to them? It's my first interaction. I go each one, I say, hello, my name is David Zritsky. I'm going to be your host and your interviewer for the night. And they were like, oh, it's so nice to meet you, and this and that. We had a great thing. I said, listen, and I wanted to explain to them about the picture thing. I said, we're going to be in and out. So we're going to take pictures. There's going to be 3 pictures each. The photographer's going to choose the best one. We smile, we take our pictures. There won't be a lot of chit chat, and then we're off to the races. And then I took my picture with them. I turned and I thanked them. And I said one more thing to them. And I think it's an important thing. I said, I will take care of you tonight. And it's a theme that I revisited with the Moneypennys throughout the evening, which I'll get into. But then I raced up to the stage to get ready for them. They took their pictures. That took about 30 to 40 minutes. It was like clockwork, very efficient. And the pictures, they came out great. I mean, one of them is in my thumbnail right now. You could do different poses. I decided to do like a shooting the cuff thing, smiling, not looking too serious. But yes, I did an arched eyebrow. I mean, these are permanent moments. And this was historic. Like those of you that did get pictures with the Moneypennys, smart, because this has never happened. 3 Moneypennys have never been together. 3 Moneypennys will never be together again. Like this would be extremely challenging to get them back together again. But we went up and we did the interview. Now this was in front of, again, 350 to 400 people. Some were sitting, some were standing. It depended on the ticket that you purchased. But I wanted to make sure that I asked them questions because this was their first introduction to the audience for the evening, for the day. And I wanted to make sure 2 things. Number 1, that it was a good introduction because it helps build the relationship and preheat the whole concert. Second of all, I wanted to ask the questions that I think Bond fans would want to ask in a way that Bond fans would ask them. And this is the danger of interviews. Some people interview by asking a series of questions, and no matter what the answers are, they just keep asking the questions. It's like one right after the other. That's not how I interview. And that's not how I interviewed them in the pre-show. The way I interview anybody is I ask a question, I listen to the answer, shock, and then based on their answer, I have a dialogue with them. I actually will change sometimes my next question based on what they just said. And to me, that's a more dynamic conversation. It's not an interview. Interviews are didactic, soapboxing, I have an agenda, boom, 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 boom. But a conversation to which I told the Moneypennys I would have a conversation with them, it's a comfortable conversation, is exactly what we had. Now, this is the behind the scenes moment that you've been waiting for. There were some shocking moments. First of all, you have to understand as they're coming up to the stage, you're having small conversations with them, but they're grabbing their mics, pouring water. Most of them wanted sparkling, by the way. I don't know if that's important, but there you go. You have a little piece of data. One of the most interesting things is I could almost tell that Naomi Harris, as professional as she is, maybe didn't quite know what to expect, or maybe just hasn't done a lot of these things, or maybe was a tad bit nervous as, the kind of the mystery behind what would be asked. But I will tell you, I could tell just even in the quick conversation is she just wanted to be supported. She wanted to know that I was not an adversary, that I was on her team. I was on all 3 of their teams. I was one team. There was one group. It was the 4 of us, not the 3 against 1. And so my conversation, of course, my questions, of course, were going to be very supportive and celebratory of their characters. Now, did I ask controversial questions like, what do you think the new Moneypenny should be, or Amazon, or the best moments with Bonds? Of course, because we all want to know that. I don't want to ask just, the simple opening question of how did you get it? I wanted to talk about the drama of getting it and the onus, the absolute gravitas of now having an iconic characters and their conversation, which I'm not going to recount here because that interview will be a video that Warren will have up where you can listen to my questions back and forth. This is more about this. Very quickly in the pre-show interview, I could tell that I was building a relationship. You could just tell. You're smiling more with them. They're smiling back at you. They're having fun with you. They're taking the mickey out of you. The only nail-chewing moment that I had, because people do ask, they say, they ask, were you nervous, David? Was this something that kind of, just made you stressful? I will tell you that the only time that I got a little bit stressed out was when I was talking to Naomi Harris and we were talking about the whole idea of her being in 3 Bond films. And she got a little lost and said, no, I was there from the very beginning with Daniel Craig. Now, the entire audience knew what I was talking about. I wanted to reflect on her moments in the James Bond films, which was Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. But she was seeing the whole entire arc. So we just had to come back a little bit. There was a slight little bit of confusion, and then we wrestled it back, because that's what you do in a conversation. Funniest moment of this was, of course, when I asked them each what was their favorite Bond films, and they went through. And we got to Naomi Harris, and she said, based on everything, I could say Skyfall, but I'm going to have to say No Time to Die. And she gave her reasons, and I said, oh, I'm sorry, that was the wrong answer. And everybody got a big laugh, including Naomi Harris. So again, amazing way to break the ice. Once we did this for about 30, 35 minutes, we said our goodbyes, and then a group of us, about 12 of us, including the Moneypennys, and including their plus ones, like Sam Bond was there with her daughter. Her daughter was and is an actor. Charming, sweet. The two of them, just wanted to run out and get a quick cigarette. And Sam Bond, by the way, she is a spitfire. She has so much personality, kindness too, but personality, like not a wallflower at all. She knows who she is. She is just a strong personality. I loved her backstage. And even in the VVIP moments, she was great and very giving. All 3 Moneypennys were very giving. Caroline Bliss, she's the consummate professional because she's done this with Cue the Music, and she has so much heart for Cue the Music. You could see it during the concert. It was amazing moments. And Caroline Bliss, she and I had a great moment as well, where she came up to me before the concert and she said, you sort of took my job. I'm the compere day in, day out, and here you come along once a year and you do this. So I researched you, David. This is what she said to me. I researched you, and I watched a few videos of yours. And then there was one video where you talked about your connection to James Bond and your father, and the absolute bloodline between Bond and you. The love of Bond, the passion, where it comes from, nostalgia, and the love of your family, the love of your father. And she said, I was hooked. I see it. I see what Warren saw. And then afterwards, after the whole concert, she did come up to me and said the same thing again. But in retrospect, looking at how I handled the interviews during the concert, and said, you did wonderful. I see it. You were fantastic. And to me, that was the biggest compliment, because again, she does this day in and day out with Cue the Music, and she does an amazing job. And Naomi was, first of all, I've got to tell you, all these women are beautiful. I'm sorry. It's my channel. I could say it. I'm saying it. Physically, they're beautiful. Beautiful. And it's not, I wasn't caught up in the celebrity of it. I was pretty calm around them. I admire what they've done. I admire what they brought us from a cinematic standpoint. I admire their class, right? But just physically, they're beautiful. Sam Bond is gorgeous. Caroline Bliss, gorgeous. But Naomi Harris, flawless. Like, I was this close to her for 6 to 9 hours. I lost count. Backstage, in full lighting, beaming light hitting us on stage, and it didn't matter. Flawless. So beautiful. Like everything that you see, that's not camera work. That's not filters. That is just real life. But she's also kind. She's also very sweet and very good at conversations. Now, let's go to the show. So I leave the VVIP, I go and study, and it's 30 minutes to showtime. Bloop. And by the way, again, I don't get nervous. Maybe I should get nervous, but maybe because I'm so well studied. You could tell if you watched the stage show or seen any of the videos, I don't use a teleprompter. There's no teleprompter. I memorize everything. I study it before I go on. I have my notes and I think about this. But when I write this stuff, I write what I would say. And I'm not reading from a script and I'm not memorizing a script. So it comes easier that way. But with the Moneypennys, my time with them, I had time backstage. There's always moments backstage. By the way, I'm taking a sip. I'm having a real moment with you. It's not a PBR. It's a seltzer. I know. I'll drink tonight. I'll drink after this. But you're having these moments backstage where you could be with them for 15 to 20 minutes backstage easily before you go on. And those were moments where I would just sit with them and say, all right, here's what we're going to do. Here are the type of questions I'm going to ask. And some of them were a little bit of a repeat, but many I wanted to really switch up and make them new based on what they said in the pre-show. So I changed all my interview questions that I was going to do on stage based on the pre-show. Number one, to give those 400 people amongst the 2,000 plus people now something new, but also because I knew something about them. And I wanted to take that data and information, that knowledge, and do something with it from an entertainment standpoint. So I told them where we were going to go. I gave them their parameters. And then I spoke to each one of them. And I said, for example, Caroline, I love what you said in the pre-show, so I'm going to ask you this. Sam, you talked about not watching Bond films because you had never seen a Bond film before you actually got the job of being Moneypenny, which is outrageous. I'm going to send that up to you. She's like, okay, got it, David. And then Naomi, you talked about keeping secrets for your family. We're going to talk about the whole idea of keeping secrets in the world of espionage and James Bond, but you did one better with your family. And I think almost like a director gives notes and directs them in the direction we're going to do from an improv standpoint, that's what they were able to take onto the stage. And that's why the strength of our stage work and the interviews were so strong. Now, were they perfect? No. Because even, there was a moment with Naomi Harris where I asked her a chemistry question. And what I meant was the chemistry of actor to actor, with Daniel Craig to her. And we talk about chemistry amongst actors, chemistry. She interpreted it as chemistry like sexual chemistry, which was a funny moment. And I had to tap dance and backtrack. And I'm like, not that chemistry, but interesting read on that. Those are the moments, by the way, when you have a situation on stage or in any type of entertainment, even doing this, that is organic or real or where you have to just be yourself, those are the magical moments. It's not the scripted ones. It's not the ones that are going to go perfectly. It's the magical ones. I mean, my whole train of thinking is if I can get past my opening, I take my opening to the whole concert very seriously, where I do my little warm-up for 3 or 4 minutes. It's only 3 or 4 minutes, but it's very important. It's to really connect with the audience, and I can tell who the audience is. I can listen for the laughter. Are they getting the jokes? Are they my people? Are they my tribe? You can hear all of that within 3 to 4 minutes. And then once I know that, and I've grabbed on to the energy of the room, this is why theater is so important from a way of entertaining. Once I know that, I feel the energy and I connect with the audience, everything else for me is easy. People ask me afterwards, after the whole show and the post-show, don't you get nervous with thousands of people? And I keep saying no, because in my mind, I'm not presenting to thousands of people. I'm presenting to one Bond fan. I mean, when I first go out, I do see thousands of people, but as soon as I hear laughter, as soon as I hear applause, as soon as I say something that I know only a Bond fan would know, and they say it back to me, which is why I was holding out the mic back and forth like that and connecting with them. The language of Bond is what I talked about this year. I knew it was going to be special. I knew it was going to be special, and it was. The moments with the Moneypenny advanced because there were three major moments during the concert. And I wanted to advance the conversation to the point where the last part in part two, after I did my little like Warren Bear merchandise moment, which was adorable. Do you know now that this bear is named Warren? Warren, the Cue the Music Bear. It was called Cue the Music Bear, which is, that's not very interesting. Warren the Bear. A lot of people were purchasing Warren the Bear, just saying. But that was a system where I wanted to send people out with the Moneypennies on a really big note. And so what I decided to do was talk about the Moneypennies in relationship to the fans. And there was a very organic moment where I'm backstage talking about this. And I'm connecting more with the Moneypennies. And I feel like I'm getting a little bit more emboldened, encouraged, braver with them. Or more comfortable. I don't know. Like, look, we weren't becoming friends. I get that. But I was getting more comfortable lowering my shield. They were lowering their shields with me. They were trusting me more. They could see that I was not an adversary. I was a partner in their progress of entertaining and creating an evening. So I decided to say, let's make this whole last session about how you're connecting with this evening's music and with the fans. Like, what does this mean to you? So I'm going to ask you to take inside and bring it outside. No small task, by the way. No small feat in front of thousands of people. And they did that. And Caroline Bliss was great because Caroline Bliss was all around the reconnection with the fans and her advancing that and evolving it and just feeling it again and again and again. And that addiction of being with people that appreciate what you do and just being happy about it. Sam Bond blew everybody away, though. She talked about not just loving the music, but she's talked about her heart being filled, so full, is what she said, that it wasn't just people coming out to see her, but it was about the music and listening to it and the celebration. She connected with the audience. She connected with the music. That was an amazing moment. So much I used it in the end. It was, I don't know, I almost got tearful. And by the way, this was an emotional concert. You'll see when the video comes out, like the people were getting very emotional with the songs, with the nostalgia, with the Moneypennies being there. But Naomi Harris had one of the most special moments for me. Because, Daniel Craig's Moneypenny, special place in my heart, being a fan of the Daniel Craig movies. And it was at the end, she came to me backstage and she goes, "You're really good at this. You're really, really good. Like, this did seem like a conversation. You were fantastic." And I said, "Thank you. Not bad for a hobby of mine." And she goes, "You don't do this for a living?" Like, she thought in her mind, like, tomorrow I'd be doing like another gig and another gig. And I said, "No, this is my hobby. I don't do any of this as a job. I run a pharmaceutical advertising company. I'm the president of a pharmaceutical marketing agency." She goes, "You're what?" It was almost like this, like shock. And she just kind of did this thing and she said, "You are really, really good at this." And she shook my hand and I just had this connection with her. And I don't mean to bring this up as a braggadocious moment. I bring it up because when we talk about the Moneypennies or talk about any celebrity, we tend to put these people in these ethereal, like, tabs, these quadrants of, like, they're not real. They don't exist. They exist only on celluloid. They exist on the movies. But this was a real moment that I just had with a person, a professional. And she wasn't Naomi Harris Moneypenny when she connected with me like that. She was a theater professional connecting and just having a moment with me. And it was so special and so emotional. And I'll take that with me always. I mean, no one recorded it. No one took a picture of it. But I'll take that with me always. And it was moments like that with the Moneypennies backstage. These stories that I've picked up, of Sam Bond, talking about the sexual prowess of Moneypenny with Pierce Brosnan and the 3 hours that she had with him. And just the moments that we connected together were so special. Well, finally, it was the end. The Moneypennies were lined up, and then I was asked to bring somebody on stage, which was pretty darn special. And that is David Arnold, which is a secret that I've been holding for almost a year, give or take, but certainly couldn't tell anybody. And we had a celebration because David Arnold is the guest for next year, and will be co-orchestrating with Warren and Cue the Music. It's mind-blowing. And I'm not going to share too much here because I know there's going to be more on that for the remainder of the year, for next year, leading up to next year when we celebrate this again. And again, this is becoming this October mini convention celebration, which we already know is going to be amazing in 2026. And you're all going to have to be there because David Arnold. And it was a showstopper. We just had the Moneypennies, the Three Moneypennies. We had all the interviews, all the discussions, and then we were able to announce David Arnold, which is shocking now. Even after that, I took a vacation with Danielle and Ellis because I needed to just calm down and enjoy myself. And so we had like a half day in London after that, and then went to Portugal. My good friend here bought some things from Portugal, like these lovely soaps and these port wines that we could enjoy. This was all from Hugo Atelier Astorino, the guy who makes all my Zaritsky shirts. He even recommended this, which I got to show you. He recommended, this is a funny story. He recommended this. It's lavanda. It is a cologne that is from Portugal, and they sell it there. And they make these beautiful green glass bottles there as well. Absolutely stunning. And he tried it on. I'm like, I love the smell of this. He goes, yeah. He goes, my girlfriend hates it because she said that it smells like her grandfather. And I said, oh, I got to try it. So I tried it. And Danielle said, oh, it smells like my father. So of course I had to buy a bottle. Anything that smells like somebody's grandfather and father, that's for me, because sometimes the old ways are best. And this smells amazing. It's got eucalyptus in it. It's got obviously lavender. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I got a giant bottle, Danielle, so I'm sorry if you don't like it. I got my ornament because it's a sardine with tiles from Portugal, from Lisbon. Went to Lisbon, went to, the James Bond locations from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, like the beach and the jewelry store and different areas. And yes, I even stopped by, look at this, Estoril, whatever you want to call it, the Hotel Palacio, where all those amazing shots, get the shot, from On Her Majesty's Secret Service with George Lazenby, where that was cool. And I walked away with a Navy hat. What a great adventure I had. So the Moneypennies were amazing. The concert was amazing. Gatherall was amazing. The pre-show, the moments with the Bond brands, everything just fit together. These are things that we will continue to replicate because we're Bond fans and we love to celebrate. And I wanted to bring you just some of the many stories that we have from the wonderful moments, and we're going to keep doing it. Not only next year, but leading up to that, we'll keep doing these events and I'll keep bringing them to you and summarizing. And if you miss them, it's okay. It's okay. We'll capture pictures and videos galore. In the meantime, I need to relax and get ready, probably for the next event. This has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. We'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching the Bond Experience. If you like what you saw, why don't you subscribe to the channel by clicking this button right here. We'll keep you up on everything new that's happening in the world of Bond. And speaking of something new, here's something new just for you because we know you so well. Talk to you soon.